He's swinging a fly ball, right field. It's high, it's deep, and that ball is gone! Oh, man!
Welcome back to another video here on the Motown Madness channel. Today we're going to be talking about a Tiger that I really like to take those next steps this year and really prove himself as an all-star. Now, if you like this video, be sure to check out our podcast link here in the description called The Big D. Go ahead on over to TikTok and Instagram and follow us there at motown.madness for content very similar. While the Detroit Tigers last season was pretty mediocre, there were a few bright spots. If you'd told me last year the Tigers would finish with 78 wins and in second place in the Central, I would have flat out laughed in your face. However, with some solid frontline guys in the starting rotation, an unexpectedly good bullpen, and some young sparks at the plate, they managed to make it happen. They finished second place in the Central, only 9 games behind the Twins, and I'm pretty impressed by how the season went. Did it shoot up my expectations for this year? Sure. But I think the Tigers' second half last season really gave us Tigers fans some insight on what we could expect this year. Now, we did part with guys like Eduardo Rodriguez, but we will have Tariq Skubal back full-time and healthy. While I love talking about Tigers pitching and the Tigers organization as a whole, I want to focus and hone in on one guy that I expect to really take off this year. And no, it's not Javier Baez, but I could see arguments for Parker Meadows or Riley Green or Kerry Carpenter, heck, even Colt Key signing that 6-year extension. But my pick to take it to another level this year is none other than Tigers first baseman, Spencer Torkelson.
Swing and a drive. Deep left field. Peralta back. That's out of here.
Instead leading and save.
Torkelson with a drive. Right center field. That's got carried. It's gone. To this Tigers lineup. Torkelson with a blast. Down the left field line. Out of here. A second.
Quick reaction time to be able to flash the leather on this play. Look at that reaction. Backhand. Goes to a knee, gets up, throws a...
Now, Spencer Torkelson was taken first overall in the 2020 draft by the Detroit Tigers. Came out of Arizona State, was very, very good, obviously, in his college career. That's why he was taken first overall. But I think we got to talk about something here, Tork. Bro, what is that middle name? Enox? I'm not going to judge him. Because this is me praising him, right? Just kidding, Spence. I know it's your mom's maiden name. But Spencer Torkelson out of California took him in 2020, and he's been exciting to watch ever since. Kind of grew through the minors pretty quickly and ended up coming into the Tigers lineup here in 2022.
Here's the major league debut of Spencer Torkelson.
Torkelson debuted April 8th, 2022, and in that season he played 110 games, posing 73 hits in 360 at-bats. 16 doubles, 8 home runs, and a triple in those at-bats as well, with 37 walks, so a decent eye. The strikeouts are a little high there at 99, as well as the average on base and slugging, and OPS for that matter. But it being his first year, I would not be surprised if he turned it up, and in 2023, that's exactly what he did. In 2023, in 159 games played, posed 141 hits, with 34 doubles, 31 home runs, and also a triple. Doubled his walks, cut back on the strikeout percentage a little bit, still there, but not too bad. And average bumped up by 30 points there. You see up to 233. Base percentage is over 300, which is awesome. And slugging over 446, that averages an OPS out of 750. That's pretty much a league average OPS at 750 there. But in someone's second year as a full-time MLB player, that's pretty solid. I think there's only room for him to grow here. And anybody who watched the Tigers last year in 2023, Torkelson had quite the slow start. He really did. But really, in the end, even the whole Tigers team just amped it up following that All-Star break. Man, they played so much better. Torkelson, a lot of his home runs came in that second half of the season. And if that's a glimpse of what we see for 2024, I like it. So let's get into the 2024 projections here. So we are over here on Fangraphs here looking at some projections for Spencer Torkelson's stats in 2024. Now you can see there his stats in 2022 and 2023, which we've already covered, but here they are again if you want to refer to them. And then in the 2024 spot, there's a bunch of different projections there based on different analytical companies and computations and stuff. Don't ask me exactly what they mean and stuff, but I know that they're all pretty accurate and have done a decent job in the past, and it's what Fangraphs relies on, and they're an awesome website and company over there. So check them out if you want to see some of your favorite players or favorite teams' projections this year. But here's Torkelson's. All right, so as you can see, some commonalities in all these. Right, head over to the WAR section over here. They're all pretty similar. Looks like a 1.7 to a 2.3 range in WAR, which basically is just an overall kind of arching, how good of a baseball player are you? How much value do you provide to your team? How many wins are you really providing for your team? It stands for wins above replacement. You obviously want to be above that 0 mark, and he has in that 2023 season. Unfortunately, 2022, he was below that mark, but he's going to be an above average player now too going forward. So, yeah, and another way to judge to WAR is you want to. One of the calculations I've heard is you want to pay a player around, especially a position player, around $7 or $7.5 million per WAR. So that's kind of the basis of an analysis you can go through: is are you overpaying? Are you underpaying? Is this person overperforming? All of those things can be attributed to looking at like a contract, and then also when it comes to arbitration and stuff, figuring out how to deal with that, and rookie contracts come up. It's all those things. WAR is a great outlook on how much value are you creating for this organization. So let's just head over to the numerical stats here, right? Projected to have a good amount of plate appearances, a little bit less than last year. I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know why they expect him to not play as many games. I mean, 159 is an absurd amount. That's almost every single game, which shout out Torque. That's not common at all anymore. So it's awesome to have a first baseman that wants to play and stuff. So that's cool. But home runs here, kind of all over the place, right? 26 to 33, right? And that's kind of the range I've seen for him. And I just kind of wonder why, right? He heated up in the second half, and that's it. First half was terrible. Second half, he heated up and ended up getting a 31. Why we aren't setting 30 to 29 to 30 at the minimum, I don't know. I don't know why 26 is on here, 27's on here. I can see him going for 30 plus easily again. And the sports books say the same thing. I'm pretty sure on a bunch of sports books, his totals are at 26 and a half or 27 and a half, maybe 28 and a half for his home runs. By no means am I telling you to take that over, but I mean, it's hard not to when you think of a guy who just had a good half season and ended up getting to the 31 mark. You kind of hope he continues that second half into this season and has it for the whole season, right? Runs, whatever, right? Gets across the plate, cool. Mostly we care about getting on base and scoring runs here. So that's good. A good number to be at. RBIs would be sweet to see him at 100 this year. I 100% think he can get there. Why projections are so low for his RBIs, I really don't know. Does that depend on, his teammates and stuff? I don't know. Or they're projecting other Tigers to not be super good. I'm not sure. But I think RBIs, again, like same thing. 94 he had last year, and that's what they're projecting his max to be again. So they're almost projecting him to peak in the RBI department, which is strange if you keep looking and keep going and his walk rate's going up, his strikeout rate's going down. I mean, and his average, let's go to average up, OBP up, slugging therefore up, right? Why is that not contributing and adding to the runs and RBI department and even the home runs? I don't know. Not really sure how these are all calculated and stuff. Now I could talk about WOBA and XWOBA, but it's really confusing, so I'm going to go ahead and skip on that. WRC plus, though, we can talk about. That's weighted runs created, and it's plus, so it's on an average of 100 scale. So 100 is your average MLB player, is at 100 WRC plus. Hitter, that is. Projected torque to be in the 100 teens. So that's an above average, not only first baseman, but player and hitter. So awesome to see that. And then you can see his offensive and defensive like WAR outputs and stuff over in the right. And yeah, that's his projection for 2024. But if you kind of take a deeper analytical approach to this, let's head over to a Savant page and kind of look at that here real quick. So this here is Spencer Torkelson's Baseball Savant page. Baseball Savant is a very analytical driven website. I believe it's sponsored by MLB. I believe they have some sort of funding in it as well. So it's all reliable stuff here. But if we look at last year's percentile ranking, we'll start here. WOBA expected batting average, not going to go a whole lot into that just because that depends on a lot of other stuff. But I want to talk about the stuff that he really can control here. Average exit velocity, barrel percentage, hard hit rate, sweet spot percentage, chase rate, whiff rate, K rate, walk rate, right? So these kind of like bottom, eight items here. Now, or bottom 9 here, or 8, yeah, 8. If you look at these first 3 here, starting with exit velocity, and this number here, this red number, that means good, essentially, right? So he's in the 87th percentile of hitters in baseball, right? Essentially for average exit velocity. And this is all hitters in baseball. This is including your Mike Trouts, your Aaron Judges, all your outfielders, third baseman, whatever, all of them. So this is included in all of those. So you have the actual number there on the right and then the percentiles. Now, I'm going to focus more on the percentiles than the actual number. So just those first 3 that I'm talking about right here, right? Average exit velocity, barrel percentage, and hard hit rate. So average exit velocity, that's pretty self-explanatory. The average exit velocity of a ball you put in play. Barrel rate, I believe is, I'm gonna have to double check this actually, but I believe that barrel rate is essentially like hitting, if you think about it in terms of like hitting a barrel, right? So I believe there's a certain exit velocity involved. Let me look this up real quick. So it's barrel rate's a batted ball with the combination of exit velocity, of the perfect exit velocity and launch angle. I believe the hard or the barrel rate has to be the exit velocity has to be 95, and then the launch angle is between 8 and 32 degrees, I think, also known as a sweet spot. So barrel percentage is basically hard hit percentage combined with sweet spot percentage. How often that happens is your number on the right there in that sweet spot percentage. But first of all, barrel rate. So barrel rate is perfect combination of exit velocity, whatever. I just said that. Hard hit rate, though. Hard hit rate is percentage of balls you hit that's over 95 miles per hour. Now, hard hit rate here for Spencer Torkelson is the 94th percentile. He's hitting over 50% of his balls over 95 miles per hour. Now, that's phenomenal, right? That's elite. He's in the top 6% of hitters in that department. Now, if you look at sweet spot percentage, that talks more about the launch angle. And this right here is why Spencer Torkelson is batting in the low 200s, right? Hard hit rate's huge, but he hits the ball on the ground, right? Sweet spot percentage is low. And sweet spot percentage is that launch angle that I was talking about, between 8 and 32 degrees. So he's in that range only 37% of the time. However, he's in that hard hit rate percentage 94%. Or sorry, of the league, right? The actual percentage is on the right there. So 33% of the time he's hitting that ball between 8 and 32 degrees. And then 50% of the time he's hitting it above 95 miles an hour. Those are very different numbers, right? And the reason that sweet spot is so low is because of his launch angle. Now, he's had this problem since college. He's able to elevate a little bit when he gets the opportunity, right? But it's not always there for him. It's not always there. He's kind of had a problem keeping the ball on the ground. With that in mind, we'll head over to the spray chart here. And as you can see, a lot of these singles, right? A lot of these singles here are in the infield, right? And, singles are good, right? But think about how many singles there are and then just picture how many outs there are here in the infield. It's going to be a lot more. Now, in terms of spraying the whole field, right, Tork does a phenomenal job of doing that. Pulls a lot of these hard-hitting balls to the left, but he can also push to the right. You even see some home runs and some doubles and stuff out to the right, not just singles. So that's good. We're not looking at that. He has no problem doing that. It's all about getting the ball up in the air more. Now, the other four things at the bottom here are what's going to help him get that on-base percentage up and get on base more, right, and become more effective. Now, this chase percentage, little high, but for a lot of power-hitting first basemen, this is a very good number. This really is. And then if you turn that into K rate, right, so he's chasing a lot, right? He's chasing, which means he's swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone. That's what chase rate is. His K rate, though, is very, very low. That either means he's being solid in that two-strike approach or he's fouling balls away that are outside the strike zone, which means there's a far reach, good contact, right? Either one of those I'll take, right? We'll take that, especially as a first baseman who hits really hard. And then his walk rate's phenomenal. For a first baseman, that's unheard of, 67% of all hitters. That's not just first baseman, but in terms of first baseman, almost a 10% walk rate is very good. So overall, there's great things to see here. All these reds are phenomenal. K rates, okay, right? He strikes out a decent amount, 25% of the time. We'd like to get that down more, right? 30th percentile means that he's in the bottom 30 percentile, so he strikes out more than you want, and that's been a lot better though since his first year. So that's good. Whiff rate, middle of the pack. That's not bad though for a first baseman. Same with his K rate's not terrible. A lot of first basemen are at like 30, 35, especially these hard hitting ones. But Tork's in a good spot. So how does this compare to some other first baseman? Well, I have a player comp for him here, and it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So I'm gonna throw Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s stuff next to here, Tork's here, and just kind of look at the differences and what do we see? What trends are we seeing in Torkelson compared to Vlad Guerrero's? And Vlad Guerrero did have an off year last year, so we're gonna kind of keep that in the back of our head. But also he really didn't. He really didn't. He had a good year. Just kind of quiet, that's all. So yeah, let's take a look at this real quick. So here's Vlad Guerrero's Savant rankings here. So very, very similar, but there's a few key differences. So I wanted to find someone and compare him to someone who's very, very good and can be very good with that sweet spot percentage. So as you see, Vlad Guerrero's is even worse than Tork, right? His sweet spot percentage, so his launch angle isn't even as good as Tork's is. And you can still be this dominant. We all know Vlad's very, very dominant. One of the best first basemen in the league, top 5. I don't think you can really doubt it at this point. He's top 5, even in an off year. This is his off year, which is crazy. But don't look at the batting average and WOBA and slugging percentage and stuff because that can all be attributed to Tork's K rate. Vlad's K rate's the best among the best among all first basemen. Tork's is not terrible, but yeah, Vlad's on a whole other level here. So if Tork wants to be as dominant as Vlad Guerrero, there's two things you could do, right? And the glaring obvious one is the K rate, is to get the K rate a lot lower. Right now, Tork's striking out 25% of the time, chasing a decent amount, or chasing not terrible, right? Not bad. 80 or 23% is very good. But if we're trying to put him on an elite level here, he's gonna have to improve it a little bit. But as you can see, Vlad's chase rate's really, really bad, but his K rate's really good. So Vlad has a very good two-strike approach. If you ever see Vlad hit, the reason this chase percentage is so bad for him is because dude swings so hard on the first pitch, or the first pitch he decides to swing on. It's crazy. Like he's swinging out of his cleats. Torque, not so much. So that's why his chase percentage is so much better. But the K rate's a lot lower. So one thing to work on for Torque is to increase that percentile ranking for his K rate. So get his K rate lower. Secondly, would be to increase the sweet spot percentage. Now, I'm going to throw Matt Olson's sweet spot percentage on here real quick, just to kind of refer to, I know when we talking elite, now we're talking elite. So let me throw Matt Olson's on here real quick, just to kind of get a feel for what is a good sweet spot percentage. And here's Matt Olson's. Wow, not good. He hits the ball on the ground a lot too. So that's also, maybe that's the thing is, you can hit the ball on the ground a lot and still be dominant. Wow, that surprises me. That's actually really, really good to see if you're Torkelson, right? Is the sweet spot percentage. Wow, that's awesome. How everything else is through the roof. But yeah, all right, that's good. That's awesome to see, right? So I'm thinking Torque right now. K rate improved a little bit. And you're sitting kind of close to Matt Olson and Vlad Guerrero here. That's why I think all of these projections for Torque are pretty low. Jump out back to the screen here. But yeah, I think Torque's going to have a phenomenal year. Now I'm projecting him right around kind of these numbers that we're talking about, right? What that Savant's talking about, right? In order for him to be that all-star caliber player, the K rate's got to get better. The batting average has to get better as well. I know it's an old-fashioned thing, the batting average, but all-star voters are people like you and I that don't always, look at the extra analytics. We just look at batting average and we think, wow, Luis Arraez is hitting 400 this year, right? We got to put him in an all-star position, and he deserves it for hitting 400, right? That's a bad example, but Torque's got to get his batting average up, got to get his K rate to be a lot lower. 25% is too high, and his walk rate could go up a little bit. But if he does those things, the league better watch out. He'll be the best first baseman in the Central, and it's not close. I think he has a chance to lead the Central in home runs. J. Ram had a pretty off year last year, not getting a whole lot of output here, power-wise, from guys like Bobby Witt and Vinny Pasquantino might go crazy. I don't know. But the Central's pretty weak, and I don't think anyone from the White Sox is doing it. So, yeah, you could see Torkelson be a huge threat here when it comes down to the AL Central and what he's able to accomplish. So final thoughts here. Look at these projections and think to yourself, this is great for a first baseman who's in his third year. Young guy, he's very, very young, got a lot of years left. Especially the way he plays is going to be a very he's going to have a very long career. His longevity is great. But don't be surprised if Spencer Torkelson goes absolutely stupid this year and hits 275 with 35 home runs, 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, 100 runs. Don't be surprised if it happens, because it very well could. That's my take on Spencer Torkelson. Leave a like down below if you liked the video, and leave a comment as well saying who you think might go crazy this year. There are guys that could contend with Spence as well. But I personally think Torque's going to go crazy this year, and I'm going to have a whole lot of fun watching him. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Peace.
If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on to never miss another video of ours. Check out our Instagram at motown.madness for daily posts and content all about Detroit sports. And check out our TikTok, motown.madness, for clips and highlights of each episode.